Okay, you gotta check out this line, Salty. Well, some MTF out there. If I called him Skipper, I'd tell you to have a problem between hydrogen, little delta, the kids jumping over the bar of IQs of the natural test. If you know my first grader stuff, I got some kindergartners, first graders by this Bohr model of getting up over the bar on the population and the IQ standard. Because KT here gives me lambda. I get K on a SI unit, then I can do absorptions and emissions accordingly to a radial. Buff getting loose about something. Most time it would be population. And it's not saying Russia is not giving us a population count, but what does it all mean? Bay of Pigs, after certain wars, women population high, always fury aspects, taking Germany with the kid and playing piano, horses. That's going to be one of those things that change the absorption. You thought you passed it through, but the thumper is still a thumping. And so is what is it? Yeah, Rydberg equation. It's RY is what it'll look like in an SI unit. And you use that for a vacuum pressure, right? Because back to KT is a height or a spectrum inside of here. You're not going to use argon glass or neon glass blowing equipment to push electrons through it or evaporate in such a way that argon is left over as far as the lambda H over P resonance frequency or decay chain. Because you can you water to wine, and you could time all those things in terms of an SI unit as well, or the gravity space unit. Again, more about this distance to this, throwing out your shoulder, or the machine throwing out it's running out of buckets. Still has to the top of the buckets of balls it's picking out of to the bottom of the ball, and you keep filling that back in. Causes that three mean triple body kind of trains locked together torsion on a Smith chart issue that says, well, if I'm okay, zero, that I can Hamming parity code the walk in this direction or any direction, lay the map down, skull, mountain, scale issues about what does in terms of that time dependence here. Most kids are going to pass through the bar exam is a first grade assessment standard as much as the teacher's reflection in this triple body about who may be out there and just keys on this by, again, me having the proper, let's see if we can bring it down in here. Okay, yeah, so there are differences between terms that say that the chart, because of the quantum mechanics, they're all gravitied, but they're ones and zeros from each other. Over that, not only that, does that figure 4 remain, in terms of why the resonance frequency of one of them, I guess it's like, nodes for a fed base, right? You're going to say you're in the education system and you have a good thesis that brings up this result and properly mitigates to the reality of the older person that has to take this test that has generally really good standards of when this lays in. They are obviously fantastic under their arrow paradox here, where these absorptions and emissions really help you catch the dips and the bips, because you're going to want to be in the dip if it's a financial Newton conversation about emissions and absorptions, or the Drax equation as far as the electron configuration, not just here but as students. Anything in earshot's going to be the baseball field where probability line drives one right into the kid in some other chiral form of what it does. And so they key, it's got charm and top and spin. So when graphing that over the day, in a shorter period of time, when I explain how to make the sawcut co-work, I'm generally taking all the topics, general sciences. They could be a chemical reaction of safety analysis, corrosive, carcinogens, or anything else, which is diesel or gas or any metal in their series of conductivity and resistivity. And so those properties are only so relative if the crib depth is still zero. It serves the function as a fuse. I take the penny out as soon as possible, and we put an actual fuse in there for Tom Cruise, if it didn't just naturally explode the system because it's so fine and that the Linden jar here doesn't necessarily receive off of what I inputted off of that system or pulled off for angular momentum in some way that allows it to be a smaller form. Again, puff of smoke here on sunshine. Quasar notation is not the whole notation in terms of what you would need for, oh, what is it? Oh, sheepers. You come out with the original celestial model, but more AC here than it is DC or how you learn electricity. Is it a single stage relay? Of course, it's just a copper wire, but copper wire don't LED real good. All that magic happened right here in the Klein bottle about understanding that from that argon vacuum tube perspective, and this perspective here where I actually pulled out something that is chemically different in some way than the overall vacuum energy gravity on Earth that is celestially bound to whatever chemical math by moles here. So that could become the gold standard of elements, or the helium variants of it, or the OG variants of it. That's a very heavy element as far as a cat grooming policy or how to feed your cat. What is your basic calendars of get up in the morning, even though Earth could be Q and P, to what land masses you have. Most of them have mice. So the absorptions of food by size of mouse standards to the cat food can, and mercury absorption and fit tuna for the pork cat, and I mean they're still on the dock. It's still the box as far as just eating scraps off of there being a wild cat. Well, tomcat still stretched it out the longest, though, you would still say, but that is still relative to what it might have broken down in different forms coming out the back end. Realistically, though, it's got to jump into those. There's like 118 different spectrums of men and women, and any combination of those are onto and on new to each other, given what it stands for, because of the quintessence on that for Beta Bones on a weak force, watching all the guys do obstacles, or Mickey taking care of Rocky. That's what it was, though. It served that better index of results in the cage, or just out there being a boot stomper, bush smasher. You got to pound feet out there for it and really make sure that path's laid down so you can pass through that valley. You're still just walking through. It's uncanny is what element spin you had, or in Corton level that might have been very weird to the way some combination of mixes do things out there in the homogenized overall set. When you go to identity element, that specifically, go write that down. I wish I had more graphing material in here up, but it is what it is. Catch you on the next one.